Welcome back to Grand Theft. Well, tonight's guest is Clay Clark. You might have seen him. He's been doing speaking engagements around the country. He's been doing a lot of press. He's been having a lot of big conferences. Clay just first came onto my radar because I interviewed Dr. Peter McCullough back in November. And when I was doing research for that interview, he kept mentioning his Clay Clark presentation. And I thought Clay Clark was like some county in Oklahoma where he had presented McCullough. But then I found that it was you. And then soon thereafter, I heard you talking with Jason Burmis, and you invited him to come down and speak. And then I tuned into Burmis's talk on AI and cybernetics and transhumanism. And I think you have an optimistic message. It's the best time in history to bring optimism back to the table. To defend freedom and liberty, you're gathering a bunch of people who are truth researchers, authors, activists, and you're putting them in front of large audiences. So why did you start doing that? When did you start doing that? How's it going? Nice to see you, Clay.
Well, first off, Richard, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here with you and your guests. And on everything, every time I hop on a show, I always tell people I try to not share. I try to cite everything that I say, so that way, if you're listening, you can go back and find what I'm saying. So I encourage everyone to grab a pen and a pad, because I'm going to try to drop 20 knowledge bombs if at all possible. So 20 knowledge bombs in 30 minutes will be my goal. But basically, I'm a researcher. That's what I do. And so people, I grew up really poor, and I researched how not to become poor. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich, and How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The Art of the Deal, Winning by Jack Welch, and all these books about the mind is what the mind is fed sort of concepts. 21 Laws of Leadership, and I'm Traction by Gino Wickman. I read all these books. I was like 15, 16 years old, just reading success books. And I started what became America's largest wedding DJ entertainment company. We would do 4,000 events a year. The company's called DJconnection.com. I didn't realize that it was the largest in the nation, or one of the largest in the nation. Never had that thought. I was just going, what I need to do is I view business as a very linear process. Okay. So step one, you have to do branding. So when people find your show, your website, your product, they don't say, wow, that's terrible. So you got to get the branding right. That would be your logo, your website, your print piece, whatever. The second step is marketing. You have to generate leads. The third step is you have to sell something to somebody on the planet. Step 4 is you have to deliver a product or service that makes people say, wow. So they want to refer people now. And then you want to do your accounting, and then your bookkeeping, and you have to then hire and fire and the whole recruitment. Then you have to do legal, and it's just a workflow. And so as I was building workflows, I got to be 20 years old, and I was named Entrepreneur of the Year for the city of Tulsa by the Metro Chamber of Commerce. I was 27. I got named as Oklahoma's Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And then adults in their 40s and 50s would call me and say, could you help me grow my business? And I go, well, yeah, sure. What do you do? And they go, I'm a dentist. And I'm like, yeah, sure, man, let's do it. So I, work with a dentist, and then their business doubled. And I didn't recognize that was not normal. And so then I worked with another dentist and a lawyer. And by the way, this is all documented. If you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you click on the testimonials button, you can see, I think I have 2,000 video testimonials gathered since 2006, and they're all there, And my wife, she says to me, hey, you should probably charge for that. So I'm not fishing for clients. I'm just telling people I only take on 160 clients. Per my wife's recommendation, I started charging clients. And so, because I was just growing my own companies and teaching people how I did it. And so I charge people $1,700 a month, so $1,700 per month. And I charge a small percentage of the growth that we agree on. So if a business is stuck at $1 million a year, I say, hey, pay me $1,700 a month. I'm like your cheapest employee. Okay. I'm like a minimum wage employee, but I want 2.5% of the growth after we double your business or whatever. Well, during the lockdowns, all my clients are calling me going, how am I supposed to grow my business if I'm supposed to be locked down, closed, quarantined? And so I thought, Richard, I should probably research why, what is the justification for closing? And I discovered 5 profound facts, and I've documented all of these at timetofreeamerica.com/revelation, timetofreeamerica.com/revelation. So here's what I found is, one is the models that said that 2.2 million Americans would die. Those models were false, and they were funded by this guy, Bill Gates. So the models that said that 2.2 million people would die from COVID-19, they were completely false. They were funded by Bill Gates. They were created by Neil Ferguson, the chronically wrong epidemiologist. Okay. He makes models that are wrong. He works for the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute, the Jameel Institute. His name's Neil Ferguson. Okay. It's the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute. Anyway, so that at the Imperial College, false models. 2, the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction test that tells everybody, oh, you're so likely to die from this virus that's so deadly that you had to get tested to see if you had it. The polymerase chain reaction test, those are falsely calibrated to inflate the number of cases. And the man who made those tests, Kerry Mullis, you can watch him at timetofreeamerica.com/revelation. He on camera said, Dr. Fauci is a pathological liar, and that the PCR tests can be falsely calibrated to inflate the number of cases. And so I'm going, well, if the guy who invented the test, just Kerry Mullis says this guy's lying, and if this guy, Bill Gates, is saying we have to shut down America until you can take the vaccines that he created, I was thinking, that's kind of weird. So then I started looking into the agenda, and it's called COVID-19, The Great Reset. This is the book. So I read it. It's called COVID-19, The Great Reset. It stands for Certificate of Vaccination, IDAI. It's written by Klaus Schwab. This is Klaus Schwab. And Klaus Schwab has a lead advisor by the name of Yuval Noah Harari. If you've ever seen Dr. Eber, this would be like his Mr. Bigglesworth. This is Dr. Ever's Mr. Bigglesworth. This is the hairless cat. There he is. So anyway, so the models that said the 2.2 million Americans would die are false. The PCR tests are false. The treatments for COVID are 100% effective. They have budesonide, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. I'm discovering this before the lockdowns. Then I discovered, this is crazy, the system and method for testing for COVID-19 was patented in 2015. And so if you go to timetofreeamerica.com/revelation, you can see, I'm going to go there right now. You can see the patent for the system and method for testing for COVID-19. So the models are false. The PCR tests are false. The treatments are real. And the system and method for testing for COVID-19 was patented in 2015. How were people dying? Like, what were they dying from? By the way, the patent number, if you're looking for the patent number at home, folks, it's a US 2020-279-585A1. 2020-279-585A1. So it's by Richard A. Rothschild. He patented it on October 13th of 2015. Richard A. Rothschild. It's fact. So then I thought, well, how are people dying? Well, it turns out the treatments they recommend for COVID-19 are remdesivir and midazolam. Now, remdesivir is a drug patented by George Soros in China that causes renal failure, and midazolam is a breath suppressant that they give midazolam to people on death row if they want to kill you. It suppresses your breath. So I thought to myself, if the models are false, the PCR tests are false, the treatments are real, if the system and methods for testing for COVID-19 has been around since 2015, and the treatments are what kills you, and the treatments that work are being withheld, and there's a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset that prophesies how it's going to happen, and there's this guy by the name of Yuval Noah Harari, and he did a New York Times interview where he actually said on camera, they said, what is COVID-19 all about? And he says, and again, on camera. So this isn't me. I just want people to listen to this just for a second. He was asked on camera at a New York Times interview, what's COVID-19 all about? He said this.
Well, I think maybe in a couple of decades, when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin.
He just said this is the moment that surveillance started going under the skin. So I did, Richard, what I've always done as a business guy. I don't operate with fear. The Bible tells us 365 times, don't submit to the spirit of fear. So I went and told the governor, told the lieutenant governor, told the mayors, and I sued the mayor of Tulsa to keep our city open. I refused to lock down my business. I turned my business into a church. When the churches wouldn't open, I let pastors come and preach and teach the word of God on Thursdays. I did town halls every Monday. I teamed up with Sean Foyt to do praise and worship rallies all over the place. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then all of a sudden, General Flynn and Mike Lindell and Kim Clement, the late great prophet, his daughter, they're all in my life. And they're like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, well, I'm a researcher. So here we are. And it's like, how did you find me? How did I find you? You're a researcher, and you're hearing McCullough talk about the Clay Clark event, you're going, who's that? A lot of people don't have that second thought. You know, see,
Yeah.
the first thought is the name, Clay Clark, but the second thought was, who is that? And then you did your research, and that's how I met Jason Burmis, and that's how we're meeting. And so I think what we're doing is we're having this thing called the Awakening, which is where we're getting off of this drone-like, where we all conform to this narrative that we all must go to college, we all must have kids, we all must drive a Prius, we all must save to retire, we all must wear a mask, we all must get a shot, we all must have a smartphone. We're all in that momentum, and I think a lot of us are now going, So I think we're all waking up.
I like your colorful presentation of this. I like your cutouts. I'm a little jealous over that. That's a production element I could afford, but I don't have. And putting it up there while he's talking about under the skin, yay freedom. So so going back to the beginning, I read a lot of those books. I went to university. During university, I bought into a franchise called Student Painters to learn entrepreneurism. And then I was successful at that, hired my brother, sold the business to my brother, went and worked in high tech as a salesperson. And then I was a whistleblower in the early 2000s. And then I come back to research what's going on. How can I make a business? How can I make a living with defending freedom as the first line? Can we also make it like profitable at some point so we can stay in business? Right. So I've been doing that almost 20 years. So to hear your vigor and vim come along like this is very refreshing. And you got a rapier wit. Yeah, you're a force to be reckoned with. And I think it's cool that you know about marketing and sales, but your work reached me first, not your branding. And that's why it was like, it took a minute. And it was like, when you invited Jason, I was like, oh, it's the same guy that had McCullough. Yeah. And then it kind of blossomed from there. So I also like to teach that because we also have a marketing company. I like to advertise things based on their form and function, right? So you were using a piece of your work that got to me and not your fancy branding or YouTube ad, right?
Yeah, I would say this. I agree with what you just said. I tell people there's 4 steps to entrepreneurship that I believe strongly. You know, step 1 is you find a problem that exists. If you're Bill Gates, you create a problem that doesn't exist. But anyway, you find a problem. Step 2 is you solve the problem. Step 3 is you try to sell a solution that creates a wow. And then step 4, you nail it and scale it. So for the ReAwaken America tour, I'm going to give your listeners a whole bunch of free stuff right now. And people say, well, how is this going to pay off? This is a get rich, never get poor quick strategy. These tour events, I let people name their price to attend. So we had a reporter from one of the biggest 3 media outlets in America. And I promised the reporter I wouldn't say their name on a show because it was a really good healing conversation we had. But he said, I came to your event in South Carolina and I bought a ticket. And he goes, you know what I did? I said, what'd you do? He says, this is a reporter, the mainstream media that said horrible things about us. He says, I went around and I asked all the attendees what they paid for a ticket. And I heard one guy say, 50, 60, 70, 20, 10, 50. He's like, I didn't hear anybody saying they're paying more than a couple $100. And he's like, I feel like the average person was paying like $60 and there was only like 4,000 people there. So how are you making any money to get Jason Burmis and General Flynn and Mike Lindell and Eric Trump and Don Jr.? How do you make any money when you're charging people $60 a piece and you got 4,000 people? Like, how does that work? That whole name your price thing. And then he goes, I watched your documentary. He goes, which I liked, by the way, but I bought it for free. I'm like, well, and then he also got this book called The Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset. It's also free. You can download this for free right now at timetofreeamerica.com, and you can watch the documentary for free. So this reporter had done all of it. And he's like, so what I'm understanding is your motive, if I get it right, is you just want to wake people up to the truth, but you're not a Democrat or a Republican. I said, well, in America, you choose which party most correctly identifies with your ideals. I'm more of a libertarian, but that's usually not a viable candidate. So I tend to vote Republican, but the Republicans often say libertarian sounding ideas and statements, but they actually do Democrat, more socialist style actions. So anyway, what I'm saying is demoralizing for Democrats. It's eye-opening and embarrassing for Republicans, but you have to solve a problem. And I think a lot of people have this great branding. They, woo, yeah, come on out to this awesome thing. It's endorsed by this guy and the website looks great. And it's like a hollow Easter bunny because there's nothing. You're like, yeah, but what do you do again? Nothing. And our events, I believe, are something. And it's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We have 84 confirmed speakers for next week. We're 6 days away from going to the ReAwaken America Tour, Virginia Beach. 84 speakers. I mean, it's going to be a laser show. So when you find a problem, the problem America has, the world has, Canada has, is that people have been deceived. They have literally bought into a lie. And now there's a certain momentum to it. It's like everybody met a girl. You met a girl and you were just so fired up and you were like, oh man, she's going to be the awesomest girl ever. We're going to get married. You told your mom, she met your mom, you met your mom. And you know, the whole thing, it's awesome. It's just, you had a dinner last night and she liked hot dish and you like hot dish and your dad told a bad joke and she thought it was great. And it was just a connection there. And you like the same movies. And then you plan the wedding and your best man says to you, bro, she has an Adam's apple. And I went to high school with him. And you say, what did you say? He's like, I'm telling you, she's a he, bro. And there's a momentum. You're like, no, what? And you just feel like you've been lied to, but the invitations have already been sent out. It's like you don't want to know what's in the shots, but you've already posted on Facebook that you're an idiot if you didn't take it. You don't want to, it's like you now know what's going on about the deception and the Great Reset, but you've already told people that they're bad if they don't stay safe and stand 6 feet apart. And you've been shaming people on social media for 9 consecutive months, and now you just discovered the truth. So it's a wake up moment. So you find a problem, you solve it, then you start trying to sell a solution, because if people aren't willing to buy something or pay for it, then it has really no value in the marketplace. And the final thing is you want to nail it and scale it. So the first event we did, I thought it would be just one and done. And then General Flynn said, he's like, I've been to multiple events this year, other events, and yours have a certain energy to it. It's like a stand-up comedy tour mixed with college football and truth bombs. Could you do another one? I said, sure. As we went to Tampa and sold 8,000 tickets, and the second one was easier than the first one. And the third was easier than the second. Now it's like very scalable, but I'm not trying to build a scalable business here because we lose money at every event. I'm just trying to get the truth out there.
Yeah. So freedom matters. And if we don't have freedom, we can't have entrepreneurship. So while you could look at it in a business structure, that's your lead magnet, that's your loss leader, that's the thing that needs to be done. And without that, without having the building and keeping the lights on, you can have no opportunities going through that place. Right. So I understand people's inquiry around that. So do you have business ideas underlying that? Are you building your email list? Can you educate these people slowly over time to give them a sense of community?
Well, what I do is when people want to download the documentary, you put your name, your phone number, your email in there, and you get the documentary. And so let me just tell you what I just sent out to everybody yesterday. Let me pull this up real quick here. And folks, this is the exciting part of the show where a man looks for a document on his computer while being interviewed. But I'm going to pull this up here. So this is the, okay. So I sent out 8 updates for America yesterday. So one is the update number 1. This is via text and email. It says, the man praised by Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, and Zuckerberg just revealed his entire anti-Christ, anti-human, anti-money, anti-meat, anti-nationalist, it's a law-changing agenda. And then it's a video we did with Yuval Noah Harari. Second is we let people know that our good friend Dr. Zelenko passed away. He's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. And I just want people to know he did pass away from cancer. He's missing a lung. He had cancer. Great guy, lived a great life, did an awesome job to wake up millions. And so I wanted to celebrate his life. And the next is I want people to know
he saved a lot of lives. He not only touched a lot of people's lives with treatment, but he saved a lot of lives that otherwise the system would have gotten.
You're 100% correct. And I also wanted to let people know that, it's like we're 7 weeks away in America from the being out of diesel engine oil. So I want people to know that you're 7 weeks away from that. So whatever that means to you, if you need to go stock up on supplies or buy some jeans or shoes or whatever while they're still in stock, go do it, And then I let people know that Kash Patel and General Flynn joined us for an interview recently. And then I text people we had 174 tickets left for Virginia. And I let people know it is true. We are going to New York in August 12th and 13th. And then I send people a link where you can find jobs that don't require the vaccines. So that was kind of my updates yesterday. But again, I mean, if it was a for-profit thing, the same mechanics would apply. And then maybe this is math that'll blow the minds of your listeners. Because I'm so bad at interviews, on average, 20 people per interview listen to a show like this and they go, I have to see information about the models being false, the PCR tests are false, the treatments being real. They're like, I have to know. And they go to timetofreeamerica.com and they actually either download the book or watch the movie. 20 per interview. So this week, right now, this is my 43rd interview this week. This is my final one, 43rd. Now, again, this is my final one of the week. Now, how I do it, I count my weeks as a Friday to Friday. So Saturday in my weird world is my first day because of the way I do my schedule. But tomorrow I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 interviews tomorrow. But I do an average
day off. You have 6 interviews on your day off.
Yeah, I work 6 days a week. I think that's a Genesis and Exodus literal interpretation of the Bible that I believe in. So I work 6 days a week, but I go from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day. But all I'm saying is that I'll do 47 interviews on this week. Last week I did about 40, but you get 20. So think about this. If you get 20 people to request a ticket to a ReAwaken America tour per interview you do, then you have 940 people requesting a ticket a week. And so if you're going to sell 3,600 tickets, you have to do, then you takes the emotion out of it. You just say, I have to do 47 times 4. I have to do 188 interviews. And so you do that, and then it's a math thing at that point. And then if you do a good job, I'm finding now that we're on event 14, it seems like most people requesting a ticket have heard of us from another event. It's like a friend told them. Yeah. And now there's this thing called momentum. Yeah. And that really is what you live for as a business guy, is trying to develop momentum. And momentum is very hard to do because the emotions that come with no momentum are overwhelming for a lot of people. But because I think I'm missing my amygdala as a result of being taunted because I used to stutter as a young kid, I just kind of go. That's just my default, but whatever.
Well, you're certainly making up for all that right now, man. So this is your 14th conference.
Yeah.
You have to do an incredible number of interviews, and you're just playing the numbers game, and you're taking no for an answer most of the time, because sometimes people say yes, and that's how you make things happen.
Yeah.
Right. So Virginia Beach is your next event. I have a lot of autonomy graduates down in that area, so I would like them to get tickets to see you in person and see.
Let's do this for your autonomy graduates real quick here. Anybody who's an autonomy graduate, okay, if you're listening right now and you're an autonomy graduate, hey, Carter or Sarah, hey, so if you are an autonomy graduate, real quick, could you come in here real quick? This is Carter. He's sort of a big deal. Can you throw some headphones real fast? This is Carter. And so Carter, he doesn't like when I last minute ask him to hop on shows, or we never really talk about it. We just know it's a point of contention potentially.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this is an organization here, and it's called the Autonomy Group.
Okay.
And anybody from his group that requests tickets because of the unique relationship we have going on, they get half off of VIP tickets.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we've only got 14 tickets left. So anybody, if you're listening and you want to sit right up close, have a high probability to meet all the speakers, you mentioned promo code autonomy, we get you half off the VIPs.
Okay.
But then if it's a general admission, they can name their price.
Perfect.
And this is just something we're doing right now.
Okay.
Okay. Because we're down to 6 days until the event.
Yeah.
And this gentleman allowed us to be on there. So again, if you're an autonomy, the reason why you have to text in, and by the way, Carter, look at this incredible marketing.
Oh, that is a great sign.
This is my incredible, you ever saw Star Wars where they had the graphics that flew up on the screen?
Yeah.
Watch this. Here we go.
Oh.
Done. Dun, 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 and you just text the number 918-851-0102. Have you watched Star Wars recently?
It's been a while.
Really? Have you ever watched A New Hope?
Which one is that? I go by the year they came out. I don't remember.
1977.
Okay.
Episode
yes, I have.
4.
Okay, let me. I want to get the interview, because I think I'm kind of, people are missing. I think people are missing the vision. I think some people are just seeing a paper towel being held up to a screen, and I think some people are like, that is not impressive.
Right.
But I think once I put this sizzle on it, I think people are going to say, "Oh, now I get your vision." Wow. There we go. There we go. Carter, you see what's happening?
Oh, this is great.
And people are, it's like, remember there's that tractor beam scene where it's like the ship, it's being pulled in,
right?
Because Darth Vader is trying to find the codes from Princess Leia, because she has the codes, and she's like, what happened to the plans I gave you? And she's like, Obi, we have no weapons, we come in peace, and it's like, and they're trying to get away, and it's that's what I'm seeing right now.
Oh, this is great.
And
Yeah.
then it's like, what number do I text to request tickets? And it's just what happened to the plant? We said no, and there's a whole remember that scene?
I do, yeah.
There's a lot of that going on right now, and people are just spending that. So you text that number, or you can go to timetofreeamerica.com. Timetofreeamerica.com. We have a website too, because we're fancy. We've got the whole thing. Not those paper towels. We have a website.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using this to keep myself safe from monkeypox.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, not you, but if you had it, I would just wipe it down and we're good.
And Carter, well done dealing with that triggering of complexity. It's not easy to get called upon and be on the spot. You're doing well, man. He's putting you in good practice.
Hey, real quick, Richard, I want Carter to say this though, because people ask all the time, if someone wants to buy a ticket, what's the lowest price they can pay?
Oh, literally like whatever works for them. We want them there. That's the main thing. So
but you got to bring your ID to get in.
Yes.
So you got to bring first. You have to. We have to talk to you on the phone to bet you're not Antifa. You bring your ID. That's how it works.
Yep.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
You.
Thank you for.
Nice to meet you.
By the way, Carter
nice
is a male model. If anybody wants to use request on this number, he'll be happy to pose for you, right? Yeah, $400 per hour. Okay, yeah, okay. Anyway, so that's the deal.
All right, and how often do you do your Thrivetime show?
I do typically 2 to 4 shows a day. I'm more on mic than not on mic. If that,
well, that's your highest production value is when you're on mic. I saw your guest list of who you've interviewed. It's like a who's who of all the movers.
Yeah, and it's
shakers.
just because it's like eventually, if you're Damon John and you're from FUBU, you're like, this guy in Tulsa, he's like a he's like a weed. He keeps growing. He's like bamboo. He can't be stopped. He's like a persistent like irritant in the clam. If I give him a pearl, maybe he'll stop. And so. And then a lot of times people call me and so say, like Damon John was like, that was one of my favorite interviews of all time, bro. Because I put in the work to prepare for it.
Yeah.
And now that momentum shifted about 5 or 6 years ago, where I think more people reach out to be on my show than not. And we're kind of in that Rogan-y territory where people on both sides of the aisle want to be on the show because they know that we could have a blasty blast at any time. It might not, there could be something, there might not. I think McCullough is an example. I think McCullough was thinking, what poor choices have I made to end up on your show? But yet I'm here. Okay. And then at the event, they had a great time. And I think, God makes all of us in a unique way. And my skill set, I was a disc jockey, so previous to my relationship with Christ and kind of renewing and trying to recalibrate and be the best version of myself I can be. I was trying to convince adults to drink copious amounts of alcohol on Thirsty Thursdays at the Yucatan liquor stand, where it's literally a place called the Yucatan liquor stand where there is no palm trees. There is no actual beachfront. It's in Oklahoma. It looks out over Memorial, the street. And I'm trying to make those kind of things fun. I'm trying to take a wedding reception to the next level. It's got like 45 people, got a remote, VFW, and I'm trying to make the reception epic. And so that skill set combined with the entrepreneurship stuff has become a thing. And sometimes people watch it go, I don't like the thing at all, but the thing that you think is a thing is not a thing. And some people like the thing. So,
well, I like the thing that you're doing. And I like like I said, the energy, the invigoration that you're bringing to the scene right now, because it's been pretty quiet for a long time. And I think COVID just made people more quiet, but they were noticing stuff in their head, but they weren't communicating. They weren't getting together, and you're giving them the occasion to get together. You're taking away the excuse. So I don't have enough money to go. And you're helping them overcome the obstacles. So all you're going to have left is success. So,
dude, and I'll tell you this, Richard, I don't agree with anything that Garth Brooks says politically, and I've never met Garth Brooks. Okay. But a guy that used to be on my payroll for about a decade was a web designer. Yeah. And he told me, he said, Clay, you are doing something awesome at your DJ shows. And I go, what is it? He said, at every show you DJ, you go around and shake the hand of every wedding attendee. Why do you do that? And I said, I was reading this Brian Tracy book on how to become a better public speaker. And if you just type in Brian Tracy public speaking, you can find his books on Amazon. And I've read all of them. Mm-hmm. And one thing that Brian Tracy talked about was you want to build a little bit of a relationship with every person in every audience. So you want to go ahead and humble yourself and say, hello, how are you? Where are you from? Why are you here today? Hey, I'll be speaking. Is there anything particular you want to hear tonight? Or, and so you sort of build a little bit of a relationship, you kind of contribute a little bit. The law of reciprocity begins. You start to throw the boomerang of kindness, and you hope it comes back, and you get all that going for it. So so this web guy, he said, do you know that Garth Brooks, after every concert, 30,000 people are there? He just finished singing country hit after country hit for 3 consecutive hours. 40,000 people. The crowd stops, and there's a line of people that come up to get his autograph. And he said he would stay there most times till 2, 3 in the morning, just signing autographs. And he's like, he wanted to meet every single person because he was always in awe that anybody would ever pay any money ever to see him. And he's like, and that's why now when he puts out like Garth Brooks Platinum Series, Garth Brooks box set, Garth Brooks redone Platinum Remastered, it's the same songs always repackaged.
Yeah.
And people that don't even own a CD player buy the compact disc box set. They don't want you to know the B-sides. And it's because he's got so much love bank built up with these people over the years. They just love him. And so at the event, I get there at 6 a.m. I've encouraged all the speakers to do it. And I don't know if people know this, but General Flynn went out, and I think he shook in Tampa, and I don't have a hard number, but I think he shook like 6,000 hands.
Wow.
Because we had it was like 8,200 attendance. And I look at the line, and like it had to be, dude, 2/3 of the audience is in line, and he didn't get out of line. And so I'm talking to security, and they're like, he's been in line for 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4. And he wouldn't stop. And I asked General Flynn, I said, can I ask you, sir, what, I have a lot of respect for him. What was that? He goes, it's mission over ego. Every single one of these people matters, and they need to know that I care, and I need to know they care, and they deserve a handshake and whatever I can do to encourage people. And I'm like, that right there is leadership. I mean, yeah, that's the inspirational stuff right there. Just watch.
But you picked it up on your own. You picked it up on your own. And I didn't know that about Garth Brooks. And I have shook hands with Garth Brooks. It was like 96. I was working at a cigar shop. He was on tour. He comes in. I don't know who he is. I didn't listen to country music. And he told me, son, I'm Garth Brooks. And I said, oh, you sing that song, All My Exes Live in Texas. And he goes, no, son, that's George Strait. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. So he is humble. He's a real deal.
Yeah.
Someone who appreciates his standing in society based on a lot of hard work. Right. And it seems like you collect those people as your friends, and that makes you stronger by knowing how to provide service to them. They then are someone who you can call upon to speak at the events and promote this.
That's exactly what it is. And by the way, Jim Brewer would be a great guest for your show.
I think so too. I'm a big fan of his work. Yeah.
He and I've got to be good friends. And this is my secret code number that you can text me at, and I'd be happy to connect you. And again, people are like, do you give out your real cell phone number? This is my real cell phone number. And I do that because I never know who's going to text me. So like the #1 author of all time ever, the Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. He sold over 1 billion copies of his books. He texts me, and I'm like, are you Mark Victor Hansen? He goes, yeah. I'm like you're like, I think I've bought your book as a gift for many people. And he goes, sure. Yeah. And you gave out your phone number, so I texted. So like today, it's kind of my crazy world here. I'll just show you. This is kind of funny. So I'll leave my day today. I have 4,300 unresponded to text messages from today.
And 165 missed calls.
Yeah. And then what I do every morning is you go into Apple and you can select all and delete all. So I go through and I try to like reach as many people as I can. And then if I can, I'm just like, delete all. And it's just my cycle, but it's how it works for me. And it's my way to connect with people.
Well, that's good for people to know, because they wonder, like, if they send a message and you're getting so many, how do you? And it's like, no, you got to roll that over every so often. You're going to have to try again to get a hold of them.
And I learned that from Guy Kawasaki.
That's good.
Guy Kawasaki taught me that. That's the guy who was in charge. Steve Jobs hired him to handle the initial marketing for Apple. Yeah. And I was like, how do you handle your email? And he's like, well, every morning I just hit select all and delete after I'm done responding to the ones that I try to get. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he goes like, yeah. And then, but if you put your name in his phone, then that sort of elevates, so it's like for me, I'll just give you an example. Like, so like right now, I missed a call from the pop music star, Colton Dixon. Yeah. He's a great dude. And then I missed a call from Pastor Phil Hotzenpiller. He's a pastor, great pastor. But I missed a call from some dude in Minnesota. I'm sorry I'm giving out your number, but whatever. And then I just missed a call from General Flynn here at 412.
Oh, so I was more important to talk to right now. Oh, Dr. Simone Gold. So you got the who's who just in your phone.
Simone Gold. Yeah, that's the deal. But the thing is, you want to, be responsive. Like here, see, Cash Patel just missed a call. And you just what you do is you look for you put someone in your phone. If you meet him and you go, I want to meet this person, boom. And I try to put your face in my phone too. Hopefully this is some good training for somebody. So I'm going to put in Carrie's name here. I met Carrie. This woman is responsible for bringing the ReAwaken America tour to the great state of South Carolina. So there she is. So I put her in my phone. But that's her phone where she's a great consultant. That's her right there. So once I meet you, I try to put your name in my phone, and that way it's like when you call, oh, hey, how's it going? So
that's good. That's good recommendation, because a lot of people are looking to get that level of success, but they don't know what to do when they get the overwhelm that comes with it. And how do you parse it and process it to get back to productivity? And you're really just dealing with the most important things on the runway at any given time, and then pulling yourself out to do strategic long-term planning sessions. But everything else for you is just like on a schedule, because you got goals.
Do you have a screen share? Like, can I hit a button to share a screen?
Yeah. You can, right at the bottom, you can screen share.
Because I'm going to do that. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So let's do this. And we're going into the calendar. Here we go. Here's my calendar. So this is my final. I'm going to go hang out and do movie night with my kids here in a minute. See that right there? Boom.
Yeah, because you said you go to bed at 6, and I was like, it's coming up on that time.
Well, I go to bed at 9 and wake up at 3. So I go to bed at 9, wake up at 3. I'm done working at 6,
Yeah, right on.
But this is my schedule. So see, I wake up at 3, wake up at 3. And then, so like today, interview. And then the greens, those are clients.
Yeah.
And we only take on 160 clients, and the reds are interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And the purples are people that want to become a client. And I just every week. So I'm going next week. Let's go back a week or two. Let's go back. So this week was kind of crazy. This week was kind of crazy. You look at it and you're like, whoa, got a lot of stuff done that week. But the reds are interviews. Now, pre-COVID, I would not be doing that many interviews. I would just say, no, I'm not doing that. Oh, look at that guy. Is that your son?
Yeah.
Hi.
What's up, man? How are you? You doing good? Okay. Probably can't hear me. That's okay.
Yeah, I got to get him headphones for next time.
Yeah, no. And so that, it's just like, we've got one life. And so pro tips for if you're out there, you get a to-do list. This is my to-do list. Everything on here today in red, I got done. The yellow is I'm working on it. I'm almost done. The white didn't get it done. So tomorrow I'll get up at 3, organize my day, make my to-do list. And I don't feel bad for the things I don't get done. I just do my best every day and forget the rest. And I don't feel overwhelmed because I just do my best and forget the rest. So I'm with my kids today in the pool playing basketball in approximately 45 minutes in the pool with my daughters. I got 5 kids. I'm not going to feel bad at all that I'm not doing anything else.
Right.
I don't feel bad about the calls I'm missing. I don't feel bad about the text messages I'm missing because I'm with my daughters. And that's how when my dad died of Lou Gehrig's, I didn't feel bad that he was dead in terms of like regret. I felt like we had spent the time together that we scheduled, and the time we didn't. And I feel like we both did our best. You forget the rest, but I think where entrepreneurs get in a bad spot is when they feel like they need to make every single person happy all the time. And they need to be available for every single person all the time. And then you got to set boundaries.
And that comes up from their fear of failure. And then you got to point them back toward ancient wisdom that shows us it's not a first go round. People have been here before. They've suffered similar trials and tribulations, and there are ways through these if we just apply our learning to the situation.
True. And I want to tell you, thank you so much for doing this entrepreneurial show that has the courage to talk about geopolitical things that are impacting entrepreneurs. I mean, think about this. If we don't fight back against the Great Reset, there will not be entrepreneurship.
Right.
So this event, although my events are not profitable at all, and they're a great way to lose money, by the way. But although I'm being sued now by the former head of security and strategy for Dominion for allowing people to come on stage to talk about the election fraud. But if we don't protect our ecosystem of entrepreneurship, it's over for entrepreneurs. I mean, and if you go to Venezuela or communist China, try being an entrepreneur there.
Yeah, it's a convection current. We need freedom to have entrepreneurship, but we need to actually make offers and take them to the market in order to support freedom, because it's not profitable.
Correct.
And that's the story of our past 2 decades.
You are 100% correct. Hey, thank you. Housekeeping note, folks. If you go to timetofreeamerica.com tonight, timetofreeamerica.com, you can download this book again for free called The Great Reset versus The Great Reawakening. If you want to buy a copy, you can. It's in the bookstore there at timetofreeamerica.com and on the shop now button. Also, you can download the documentary. And what I did is I hired the same documentary team that President Donald J. Trump hired for innumerable reasons. One is that the quality of what Matt and Joy Thayer produces is amazing. I actually saw the documentary they shot for President Trump called The Trump I Know, kind of a behind the scenes look into the life of Trump, the good, the bad, the whole thing. And I thought it was very well produced. And then also when you team up with people like that, there's certain connections that come with it. And so I hired them to produce the documentary series. You can watch that for free tonight at timetofreeamerica.com. And then the third thing is if you want to come out to the tour and you want a half off VIP ticket, all you got to do is when you request a ticket at timetofreeamerica.com, mention grandtheftworld.com, mention you heard about the tour through the Autonomy Network. It will get you half off for VIPs. And also there's a free meet and greet event we do on Friday night where you can meet people. And if you're interested in attending the baptism, we've teamed up with His Glory Ministries to do baptisms on Friday night. So it's going to be a eye-opening, reawakening experience for your listeners.
Show me the paper towel roll one more time, because I'm going to put you on my phone real time.
Yeah. Here we go. Now, the thing about the paper towel, folks, is it's probably, going to have to be a new paper towel. Will probably have to be used tomorrow. So it's a high turnover. You want to put this on like a billboard and just put the paper towel up. You're going to have to replace it. It already was, somebody over here touched it. So here we go. So 918-851-0102. It already tore off. I mean, 918-851-0102. We have a member of our team that was trying to move it off camera here, and apparently they look at this. They tore it off the roll, and now in order to keep this marketing going, I'd have to write it again. So
no, it's all good. I got it.
Okay.
And I just gave you an empty call. So if you just have a missed call, but you got 400 missed calls. So I'm going to send
why don't
you
you text me too? Yeah.
I'm going to text you and send you a picture so you can put it in your contacts. Cause I have a feeling there's a way in the future I can provide value for your operation. I want to see you do what you do at a higher level and keep going and go to the next level and not just have this be a thing that happened in 2021, 2022. I want it to be, long-term. We need more people like you doing this. And
well,
like
I appreciate that. I appreciate you carving out time to allow me to harass you on the other end of the.
No, I was excited, and this was, like I said, it's a refreshing experience. You're bringing it, Clay. You're not just talking it, you're walking it, and you got the experience to back it up too.
Hey, well, thank you, and thank you to all your listeners. And again, folks, everything I said on today's show is cited at timetofreeamerica.com. It's all there. I mean, if you want to learn how to grow your own food, you can find it there. You want to know what's in the shots, you can go right there. If you want to know about the Great Reset, inspired collapse of the economy, you want to learn about inflation, you want to learn about find a little knowledge bombs for people out there. This will blow your mind. Okay. In 1971, the World Economic Forum was founded by Klaus Schwab. In 1971, America got off the gold standard. In 1971, Rules for Radicals was written, the book, and dedicated to Satan. In 1971, the Disney Epcot Center was created. In 1971, the Pope completed the audience hall that has kind of the snakehead theme to it. This is a very specific plan that is being implemented right now. This is the 50-year implementation of this. This is all in 1971, 1970. A time frame. Monkeypox that you're seeing. They're saying monkeypox is related to climate change. Guess what year monkeypox showed up on the scene? 1970, 1971. All of this. And then, by the way, there's a thing called Dark Seed or Dark Side. It's the Dark Side comic series that was created in 1971. And this particular comic book series actually prophesied the events of COVID-19. It's called Dark Side. It was written in 1971 by Jack Kirby, and it lays out what's happening now. And then right before the pandemic began, Elon Musk's on and off girlfriend, Grimes, she puts out a song called Dark Side, and the song is written in Chinese. And if you translate it, it features an artist by the name of Pan, P-A-N, like pandemic, and it literally lays out prophetically what's going to happen with COVID-19.
I wanted to back you up for anyone from your side watching this in your audience. This is the Club of Rome's Predicament of Mankind from 1970. It was a proposal. And in the back of this proposal, they talk about the need for a world forum. That's the project. And it's going to be created the next year, which is when they created, I got the whole stack of World Economic Forum books from Klaus over the past 40 years. But this is the originating document for that. And that's part of, yeah, you had the fancy cutouts. I at least have the book cam. I feel like
come on now, book cam, baby. Yes.
Clay, thank you so much for being here today, and now go swim with your kids. And
We'll do it.
Yeah, everyone go to the ReAwaken. Give the name of the conference.
Yeah,
and,
it's the ReAwaken America Tour. It's the Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset. It's an epic worldwide battle, and we're hosting these events. We have 2 final confirmed events. We have 114 tickets left for the ReAwaken America Tour in Virginia Beach. That starts in 6 days. You can go to timetofreeamerica.com. And then Rochester, New York in August. That's timetofreeamerica.com. The Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset. It's either freedom or
slavery,
transhumanism, slavery.
Yeah. All right.
So
excellent.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, brother.
What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happen. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show, we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man.